The Soviet Union itself is no more.
The United States military has begun strikes.
Light them all up.
Считаю, что для современного мира однополярная модель не только неприемлема, но и вообще невозможна.
Народные республики Донбасса обратились к России с просьбой о помощи. Мною принято решение о проведении специальной военной операции.
The Russian military is taking chips from dishwashers and refrigerators to fix their military hardware. Russia's industry is in tatters.
Putin is now isolated from the world more than he has ever been.
Hi, and welcome back. We've survived, gotten some much needed sleep, a bit of clarity, and we've decided that we'll move forward together. It's as a team, I guess. I don't know what else to say. I don't know what you're supposed to say in these situations, other than I shouldn't have used the incredibly harsh language that I used, especially geared toward Haas. And I shouldn't have insinuated that Haas or Chris was covering for Jewish supremacy. That was fucked up. But I hadn't slept in 5 days. And I'm like reading Epstein file nightmare juice all day long. So I took a break from the Epstein files and I'm reconvened with my bed. And I'm back. But yeah, so the interview will never be seen. It'll be on our B-sides forever, I guess. But other than that, how are you?
I'm good. I had a busy day, a very busy day. It was filled with interviews. I had a great time with Professor Said Mohammed Marandi, who's here in Moscow. Really, really great work that's going on there. We had a DPRK conference today in honor of Kim Jong-il, Kim Jong-un's father, because the anniversary is coming up. And overall, things are going well. I mean, the military operation continues. Victories are coming in every day. We're seeing new footage. One big story that we don't necessarily have information for, but one big story is that the Ukrainian army has disbanded all international formations. That is, all of the international brigades and units within the Ukrainian army are no more. So that's a really big development. And the internationals that fought and were promised citizenship and money and benefits, they get nothing. And those that stay go to storm units on the front and probably will get, a one-way ticket. So there you go. Those are the big developments that are happening here. But and of course,
They got him. They finally got him. Took this long. So I guess that's it for us. We'll take bets on who got Chris. Could be probably the Ukrainians. Could be the Pahlavis.
Well, that was
we were gonna take bets on who got you, whether it was the Ukrainians or the Pahlavis.
Yeah, I was
maybe
like,
the Zionists, but doubtful, but probably the Pahlavis.
Like disappeared and then reappear. I don't know. Who knows? In any case, happy anniversary to the Islamic Republic of Iran.
47 years.
So there we are. And we're going to get in on it. But we're back. We're back and we're ready to go.
John Bolton once said that the Islamic Revolution would not last 40 years. And here we are. The Islamic Revolution.
Here's my cigarette,
Well, let's start off on the other side of the pond where the less righteous people are. In the United States, and then we'll end on the good note with the Iranians.
Yes.
So let's start. We had a incredible whirlwind week, which is continuing today. It's an absolute chaos, and we'll talk more about that. Maybe more about the why, not the what. Hopefully get some of Chris's opinions. I think that there's a little bit more behind this, but first, let's take a look at Ghislaine. I posted a video on the large account showing that 10 years ago. 15 years ago, Epstein used the same exact answer to the same exact series of questions. But we're going to take a look at just Ghislaine. So this is her testifying in front of the judiciary on Monday, where it appears that she has leverage over the president too. So let's take a look.
Ms. Maxwell, were you a close friend and confidant of Jeffrey Epstein?
I would like to answer your question, but on the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer this question and any related questions. My habeas petition is pending in the Southern District of New York. I therefore invoke my right to silence under the Fifth Amendment to the U.S. Constitution.
Ms. Maxwell, please be very clear. Are you declining to answer the question put to you solely on the ground that you believe the answer will incriminate you?
I invoke my Fifth Amendment right to silence.
Ms. Maxwell, did you at any time play any role in Jeffrey Epstein's activities involving the recruitment, grooming, or trafficking of young women or girls?
I invoke my Fifth Amendment right to silence.
Ms. Maxwell, have you ever coerced, directed, or otherwise instructed any young woman or girl to provide sexual favors to Mr. Epstein or any other individual?
I invoke my Fifth Amendment right to silence.
Ms. Maxwell, did you and Jeffrey Epstein attempt to surround yourselves with influential individuals to curry favor and shield yourselves from potential scrutiny?
I invoke my Fifth Amendment right to silence.
Ms. Maxwell, can you please provide us with all the names of other additional co-conspirators to the crimes perpetuated by you and Jeffrey Epstein?
I invoke my Fifth Amendment right to silence.
Ms. Maxwell, is it your intention to answer every question put to you by the committee today with the assertion of your Fifth Amendment right against self-incrimination?
I invoke my Fifth Amendment right to silence.
The answer to that is yes also. So just as her lawyer, I'll tell you yes.
So you're a lawyer, Chris. Do you have any opinions on this at all? We won't put the reactions, but I believe it was Rohana and maybe Massey, who both said that she's kind of using this as leverage for clemency from Trump.
I think so. I think exactly. Usually people will use this, of course, more often than not, to protect themselves, obviously, from further prosecution, further charges, all of the things that could come from revealing information that wasn't necessarily revealed before, and opening new lines of investigations, maybe new charges that would come out from new possible plaintiffs. Now, in this case, I think that Ghislaine Maxwell is using lawfare in her advantage, which is to try to curry favor from Trump and basically say, I'm a good little girl and I won't reveal our dirty secrets. And so Ghislaine is trying to petition now the White House, I think, through this kind of action, in basically saying, I will be quiet and I won't give any names. And as that code, remember these codes, the code of Omerta, or, you don't snitch, snitches get ditches and things like that, or stitches or whatever. People have all sorts of phrases. But in any case, snitching is a big problem. And she's basically saying, I'm not a snitch. And so I should be compensated for that. By the way, the Trump administration has already compensated her, by the way, by moving her from a maximum security prison, a much more secure facility with less rights and more restrictions, to a minimal security prison, basically a vacation. It's basically a Holiday Inn. So that's something very important to understand here. But in any case, we're not going to hear anything from her, I don't think. I think she's going down with all the secrets.
Really? There's no way to compel a witness to testify?
There's no way to compel a witness to testify.
That's crazy.
No.
That's crazy. We're dealing with a pedophile blackmail ring. We'll just say it's a large international blackmail ring, human trafficking ring, that we know is where we as geopolitical analysts are mostly interested in the blackmail part. And the people involved are still blackmailing our president. Like, it's insane. Absolutely. In front of our faces. Like, absolutely. I don't know how it gets any worse than this. It's just incredible. Oh, thank you. If you got your shirt today, thank you so much for ordering. Guys, we do have great merchandise with more coming out. We're working on more designs right now. Also, if you guys have a second, you're watching on X, could you share there? I think the app is broken as usual. But anyway, so we're moving on to the other testimonies that are surrounding this, because Tuesday was Howard Lutnick's turn. I want to show this reel of Howard Lutnick's reactions throughout the months when Epstein's being discussed in front of him.
Including fake news, want to keep something like that going. But
to talk about how to respond to the Epstein situation.
I don't know. I could ask you that question. Look, the whole thing is a hoax. It's put out by the Democrats because we've had the most successful 6 months in the history of our country.
So I guess it's funny. Why do you think that he does that? Like, we now know all that he's completely involved. He's even brought children that weren't his to Jeffrey Epstein's island. Yeah, 4 kids that weren't his, 4 that were. And so we already know all of that, and lied about their relationship. We're gonna get into that, but I'm wondering why he's always he's Trump's handler. I'm pretty sure. At one point, I thought Mark Levin was Trump's handler, but no, it's Howard Lutnick.
No, it's Howard Lutnick for sure. And I also think that Howard Lutnick has this kind of, the laugh isn't genuine. You can tell it's a nervous laugh. It's sort of like uncomfortable, like,
Yeah. And even last well, they're usually theater kids. Zionists are usually theater kids. So really at emoting. And he was like laughing in anticipation of what Trump's going to say. Like, nothing was funny about the reporter's question until Trump replied, "Oh, it's the Democrat hoax." And then he was laughing throughout the whole thing. It's just grotesque. But so here he is lying to our Congress.
And we left. And in the 6 or 8 steps it takes to get from his house to my house, my wife and I decided that I will never be in the room with that disgusting person ever again. Really? So I was never in the room with him socially, for business, or for even philanthropy. If that guy was there, I wasn't going because he's gross. Oh. And so I look back at it as a gift.
Yes.
He gave me a gift.
Yes.
Of a voice.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's my story. A one and absolutely done.
He gave me a gift. He gave me a mitzvah. Okay, we now know all of that was lies, right? But even in his own interview, he says, I was disgusted. He's depraved. Why are you laughing when people are bringing it up in the Oval Office? You pick a lane. You got to decide. Either he's disgusting and abhorrent, and you knew about that, or you were lying the whole entire time. So let's take a look at some of the things that he said to our Congress.
Nick, I think you understand the root of concern here. It's the way you described very emphatically your first encounter with him in his apartment, said you were disgusted, would never have any contact with him again. Did you, in fact, make the visit to Jeffrey Epstein's private island?
I did have lunch with him as I was on a boat going across on a family vacation. My wife was with me, as were my 4 children and nannies. I had another couple they were there as well with their children, and we had lunch on the island. That is true, for an hour, and we left with all of my children, with my nannies and my wife, all together. We were on family vacation. We were not apart. To suggest there was anything untoward about that in 2012, I don't recall why we did it, but
Mr. Secretary, again, as I said, there's.
First, I have a question. Why is it nannies on the boat too? Like what? Like 2 parents can't handle a couple kids?
They each had 4 kids. So he does say in the email, it's me, and then he names the other couple. I can't recall their names, and then he says we have 4 kids, they have 4 kids, 8 kids, and then the nannies.
What I'm saying is that like 4 adults can't handle 8 kids.
You understand? You're talking about like people so wealthy they live next door to Epstein. They think like Big Macs cost like $20. Like these people, they're like Arrested Development. You know, Lucille, when she's like, "What could a banana cost, Michael? $10?" And they're like, "What?" Like, you know, these people have no idea, no clue. So yeah, of course they have nannies.
People who have nannies, the kids, I think, are not necessarily disciplined enough and not necessarily proper enough, and that's why, you know, give all the kids to me. You know, when they say Dagestan 2-3 years.
Dagestan 2-3 years.
Give me the kids. I swear to God, they're going to be saluting the flag and fucking. That's it. You know, they hear the Great Patriotic War song. You know, Sacred War, and it's hoot, and everybody's.
That's my favorite Red Choir song. That's my favorite one. Sacred War is my favorite.
Come on, and hearing it live on like Red Square. Oh my God, the heart just palpitations. But in any case, like, oh, what is going on here? And they took them to the island. Even this other random couple. Maybe they were in on it. Maybe they knew who Epstein. I don't know. Do we know who the other couple's identity is? You know, very interesting.
And I love that, like, we can't recall. Okay, this is kind of a big deal. You don't recall why you ate lunch with Jeffrey Epstein in 2012 on a boat in the middle of nowhere between islands? It's a very unique situation that you don't remember any details about.
Yikes.
Okay, next.
Did you have a dinner in Epstein's New York City home in 2011?
No.
So the information that suggests that there was a dinner with Woody Allen and Woody Allen's spouse at the Epstein residence, that's there's nothing to that. Is that right?
I actually don't know what you're referring to. There was, look, I looked through the millions of documents for my name, just like everybody else. Yeah. And what I found was there was a document that says that I had a meeting with him on in May, I think, for an hour at 5 o'clock.
Okay.
Not dinner or otherwise, for an hour at 5 o'clock.
I don't know why the details even matter. You lied.
Well, wait a second. How can you recall like minutia, like an hour meeting, but you can't recall maybe who was there. Like maybe Woody Allen was also there. These people are like, if I had my way with them, we'd tear them apart. They'd have to start saying, Fifth Amendment, Fifth Amendment, Fifth Amendment, because you could go after them. You could nitpick all this stuff, but they're like, I don't really, my name, I just look for it. And there was that 1 hour appointment. What about the other appointments? What about the other meetings?
I mean, you're the one who offered to bring the kids there. He's the one who offered to bring the kids.
Yikes.
Yeah, he was like, I need like bringing 8 kids with me. So like, this was that was 2012.
Yikes.
So, I mean, we keep saying the only dates that matter in this whole entire thing are the date he went to prison the first time for soliciting child prostitution.
Which was?
That's what, 2005? 9? When was it?
I thought it was like 8, 9.
2008. So anything after that doesn't matter, right?
So 2008, this person goes to prison for soliciting sex for a minor. And then the first book is released, by the way. The first Epstein Black book is released, if you remember. Gawker, Nick Bryant, all that good stuff. We have an idea of what's going on. And then people still hang out with him, including, forget about Lutnick and all these guys, including Noam Chomsky, whose wife is like, we had no idea. Really? Noam Chomsky, who devours like millions of books and articles and things, has no idea when he opens and reads the New York Times and the Wall Street Journal and the Washington Post every goddamn day that Jeffrey Epstein had this situation.
Not only that, Chomsky was, well, we don't want to get too deep into Chomsky, but Chomsky was always also offering to help him rehabilitate his image too. So Chomsky is in the same category as Steve Bannon. So if you want to defend Chomsky, just defend Bannon at the same time. They're basically doing the same thing. Populist bullcrap while defending pedophiles. And here is you know what? I'm growing a soft spot for Caroline Leavitt. I'm getting a soft spot. You know when you like hate the person so much that you just start to inevitably love them or something? That's where I'm at.
Stockholm syndrome, you know, you're like, actually.
My body has made a defense mechanism where they're like, in order to make you no longer viscerally react to Caroline, we're going to actually make you laugh at her and love her. But yeah, it's so hilarious at this point that also no cross anymore. We are completely devoid of the cross. We're not wearing our cross. No big bling on Caroline Leavitt's chest. And she's pregnant. Don't forget that. So
with whose baby?
Wait, you didn't know her husband's like 80 years old?
Wait, her husband's 80 years
old?
old?
No, he's like 60, but still.
Wow. What are they, like a 20, 30-year age difference?
Yeah, they're like 20 or 30, 28, I think. 28 years, something like that.
Wow, interesting.
Yeah. And the lips. Look at these lips. It's out of control.
She got those.
The Mar-a-Lago face. Her face is just, oh, God. They all have body dysmorphia. Oh, it's so bad.
It's Caroline. Secretary Lutnick today was testifying on the Hill, and he said that he had visited Epstein's Island in 2012 with his wife and children, and that's after he said that he had cut ties with Epstein. And Justice Department documents show that he was in contact with Epstein through 2018 over messages. So does the White House stand behind Secretary Lutnick right now, or given what he has said today, has there been any shift in how the White House is viewing Secretary Lutnick's performance?
No, Secretary Lutnick remains a very important member of President Trump's team, and the president fully supports the secretary. I will just point out that there are a lot of wins in the news this week that people in this room have not asked about because you continue to ask questions about the same subject. So let me point them out for you. Again, on Friday, the Dow shattered 50,000 for the first time ever. This week, the American Society of Plastic Surgeons came out in opposition to gender mutilation surgeries for children. They are the first major medical group to do so.
The plastic surgeons should have come out against your face. That's
it's an injunction against whatever's happening in DC.
That's what they should come out against all these people's faces. Fucking disaster. that we're going after. We're gonna go after. Fuck them.
No, who the hell? And this, you'll see this pattern. This keeps on repeating. This Dow Jones thing.
Dow Jones crossed 50,000. Yeah, wonderful. Who gives a fuck? Kids are being mutilated, killed. Who knows? Ian, adrenochrome. I don't know what the hell's going on. guys are ordering barrels of sulfuric acid.
Exactly. Steve Bannon had a whole hot tub full of acid.
Oh my God. Like what? Oh, Sarah, do you want to come over? I got a couple barrels of sulfuric acid. What are you going to think?
I got a lot of evidence to dissolve.
Wow, a nice Vulcan like Easter dinner we're going to have over there. It's going to be a nice barbecue. Of course, you're going to think I'm some Jeffrey Dahmer. It's going to be like, here's your bones.
They are talking about jerky in these files. They're talking about jerky and putting it in the fridge. And everybody says, why would you put jerky in the fridge? I don't know. And there's a restaurant in the files called Cannibal, but we won't do the Weibo stuff because a lot of it I think is for shock value, but I don't know. Anyway, so after all of this kind of goes, we had you guys saw a lot of the great reactions from our Congress people. Hopefully it's not complete facade or just, moral outrage. We had Becca Ballant who said there are a bunch of sick fucks. She said very out loud. Lauren Boebert, who about 2 weeks ago said, I don't give a rip about the Epstein files, came out and said they are all monsters. Ghislaine deserves to stay in jail forever. Anna Paulina Luna, the same thing. So we're getting a lot of these really great reactions. Some of the women that I saw, Stansbury, I think her name is, forgive me if I'm messing that up, she's from Arizona, I believe. She was almost in tears when she came out.
It was heavy.
She was almost in tears.
Yeah.
So after that, what we got from Massey and Khanna were that they had 6 names. And they were threatening to read them on the House floor in front of Bondi. Most people came back and said, why would you wait for that? So here we have Rohana reading off these names.
Congressman Massey and I went to the Department of Justice to read the unredacted Epstein files. We spent about 2 hours there, and we learned that 70 to 80% of the files are still redacted. In fact, there were 6 wealthy, powerful men that the DOJ hid for no apparent reason. When Congressman Massey and I pointed this out to the Department of Justice, they acknowledged their mistake, and now they have revealed the identity of these 6 powerful men. These men are Salvatore Navora, Zorab Mikoladze, Leopig Leonor, Nicola Caputa, Sultan Ahmed bin Sulayem, CEO of Dubai Ports World, and billionaire businessman Leslie Wexner.
So we kind of already knew about a lot of these. Like someone said, it's still Fall Guys being exposed at this time. I think so. I think a little bit of that. I believe the Nicola Caputo is some high-ranking official in the Italian government. Of course, you guys know the Sultan Sulayem is also very, very big in the Emirates. So, there is still a little bit of that going on. But Les Wexner, the thing about him is, how do you go after Les Wexner?
He's the key, by the way. Les Wexner was not as prominent in the Epstein case until my book was discovered. Until I discovered the book and we released it, and Les Wexner had a huge entry in that book. And not only was his name checked by Jeffrey Epstein, it was highlighted by Jeffrey Epstein. He only highlighted very few individuals, including Donald Trump. So he was highlighted in there. Les Wexner is a pivotal part of this puzzle because he has extremely big financial involvement with Epstein. He has an extremely enormous network of financiers, bankers, and industrialists. And therefore, myself and some of the other journalists that I've worked with over the years have thought that Les Wexner is a key piece of the puzzle of how Epstein got so rich.
Yes.
And if that is the case, the question is, who does Les Wexner work for? Because he doesn't work for himself only.
The Rothschilds.
There you go.
They all work for the Rothschilds. I don't know. Who do they work for? Satan?
I mean,
who is above them?
There's got to be there's definitely links to intelligence for sure, because it's a way to launder money.
They have to, because they have to be able to move all of these items around. A lot of this stuff is not, they got into crypto to kind of alleviate that sort of having to move the cash around, but they still have to move the people and the weapons. These people were huge arms traffickers. You have to have intelligence and the military involved for that. So yeah.
remember, Jamal Khashoggi's brother was very close to this orbit and to Epstein as well in that orbit. And there's a little bit more investigating to do, but I'm currently reading some materials from back in the day. Epstein was heavily also involved on the financial military side as a sort of periphery figure during the war of the Mujahideen against the Soviet Union. Interesting.
Very interesting. So,
yeah.
Here is GOP Senate leader John Thune. I thought this was interesting because he's from South Dakota. That's a conservative stronghold. That's a Trumpian stronghold. And so here is his reaction to what he saw in the files.
There have been several members of the British political class, the royal family, have lost their positions as a result of them appearing in the Epstein files. That same level of penalty has not happened here in the United States, particularly with members of the Trump cabinet, Howard Lutnick in particular. Do you think there should be more scrutiny around Americans who have appeared in the Epstein files?
Well, look, I think it's going to be ultimately what happens there is probably going to be up to the American people. And what I've been for, and I've been very clear about this from the outset, is full disclosure. Get the information out there. Let's have transparency. And I think that's being done. And so, you know, for people whose names appear or in some context might be in the Epstein files, they're going to have to answer the questions around that. And I think the American people are going to have to make judgments about whether or not they think those answers are sufficient.
This is great coming from Mitch McConnell's replacement. It's not the greatest. I understand it, but he's still Mitch McConnell's replacement saying the people need to decide. Mitch McConnell would probably say my Chinese wife needs to decide, or my donors have to decide.
No, it's definitely progress. It's definitely progress in this sense. And we're seeing actually a growing number of bipartisan members of Congress from both parties, a growing bipartisanship around the Epstein stuff. Is a bipartisan movement to try to really reveal the truth because there's such an outcry from the American people. I mean, this is everywhere. You can't escape it, you know? If people in Russia are doing an interview with me at 7:30 in the morning about Epstein,
are they?
Yes.
What are they saying? What is the reaction? I know that things have started. We haven't really talked much since Sunday. You've been busy, but what has the reaction kind of been in Russia now that stuff is not settled, but things have kind of, you know, people are getting more clarity.
People are, number one, horrified. Number two, everyone's saying, "Thank God we have Putin." Really, thank God we have Putin. Even people are like, you know, even in medieval times, our tsars were not even as so bad as these lunatics and Satanists, and you know, okay, yes, there was some killing, there was some intrigue in the court, but it was not like this. I mean, this is outright satanic. So Russians are like, I had a lunch today after a DPRK Russia Solidarity event, and there was a very prominent politician there, and they basically were like, we're shocked. You tell us how this could happen because we have no idea how this could happen. Sure, we have problems in this country, corruption, some sex scandal,
sure,
this person, that person, but like mass human trafficking of children to like mutilate them, rape them, abuse them, pawn them off, pimp them out, use them as blackmail against other politicians, and then possibly to cannibalize them. I mean, that's nuts. He said, how could this be true? I said, what can I tell you? This is a satanic country.
And you know, the Russians must be like, it would only take one person in that whole network to just say, this has got to end. Yep. And maybe there were some, but maybe I'm talking about like a higher up person. And the Russians must be just like, no, but not one single person had the moral, like acuity to say, why are we doing this? No, I don't like it. It must be so horrifying for the Eastern countries, especially. And they must be like, wait, I thought we were the third world.
I thought we were
right? I thought we were the savages.
You know? Yeah.
I thought we were barbarians. It's all such a freaking psyop.
It is. The
Anglos have been doing this since the dawn of time. We come in, we genocide, we do whatever we want, and then we tell you, you're the barbarians. We actually came here for your own good.
You know, there's a very, just out of a historical curiosity, there's a great book by, I'm trying to remember his name. Oh my God, it's slipping my mind. But anyway, It's a book about it's an indigenous writer, indigenous historian, writing about cannibalism and how like conquistadors saw it and how it was interpreted from within the indigenous community. So for indigenous people, sort of cannibalism, which is basically, sacrificing somebody who you captured during war, was like a sacred process. It was like the highest honor, and like it wasn't done like out of like malice or anything. It was
we do the same thing, but we do it in another way.
Yes, I know what you mean exactly. So when the conquistadors came, they instantly said these are like somehow barbarians, and then went off to kill anywhere from 40 to 100 million indigenous people.
I'm sorry to laugh at, like, it's just so the hypocrisy.
So the indigenous historian is like, I just want people to think about this. Like, we were killing like one guy on the temple, at a time where people would even sacrifice themselves, like, just take me, for the gods. Meanwhile, these guys come and say, we're bringing civilization, and end up massacring the whole continent up and down, from Arctic to Antarctic. And then everyone's like, they brought civilization. And he's like, what kind of civilization did they bring? Because he said, actually, the real cannibals were the conquistadors, even if they didn't actually consume us.
Right.
That they were the real ones.
Right. And I think Professor Zhang covers this a lot about cannibalism and how he covers it in that sense, in like the sacred, like it's part of a war ceremony or it's part of some sort of religious ceremony where you actually absorb the energy or power of whatever.
Right. You're giving honor actually to your enemy.
Well, they do it with animals as well. That's why these sort of same cultures utilize the entirety of the animal. It's the same thing. It's about giving thanks, if anything, to whoever your sort of God is. But yeah, so we do the same thing in a sense with souvenirs and mementos and patches
for sure.
Same thing. So it's all the same. I mean, you take these sort of talismans with you.
The talismans, yeah, of course. Of course.
Yeah. So back to the actual savages, to our Congress. Here, we're going to start getting into Pam Bondi. Next clip is Ted Lieu, but Pam Bondi's testifying today. I think it might still even be going. And I really want your opinion on this. I don't know how much of it you've seen. It's a shit show. We're going to only get to show some of it, but it is a shit show. So let's start with Ted Lieu. He calls her out about lying under oath.
I love this. I want to discuss another man, Donald Trump, who is all over the Epstein files, like former Prince. Here's the video. Like former Prince Andrew, Donald Trump attended various parties with Jeffrey Epstein. I want to know, were there any underage girls at that party or at any party that Trump attended with Jeffrey Epstein?
This is so ridiculous, and that they are trying to deflect from all the great things Donald Trump has done. There is no evidence that Donald Trump has committed a crime. Everyone knows that. This has been the most transparent presidency. He's the one that asked that those files
I'm reclaiming my time. I got your answer. You said there's no evidence.
Trump asked
Chairman, please stop the clock.
Stop the clock. The legislation. This is
time belongs to the gentleman from California. Okay. I'm going to put up another document from a witness who called the FBI's National Threat Operations Center, because I believe you just lied under oath. There is ample evidence in the Epstein file.
Don't you ever accuse me of a crime.
I believe you just lied under oath, and this is all on videotape. You said there's no evidence of a crime. I'm showing you, here is a witness statement who called into the FBI's Threat Operations Center. He drove Donald Trump around in a limo. He overheard what Donald Trump said to Jeffrey on his cell phone. He was so angry, he was gonna stop the limo and hurt Donald Trump. And he met a girl who said she was raped by Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein. She later had her head blown off, and officers at the scene said that could not have been suicide. No one at the Department of Justice interviewed this witness. You need to interview this witness immediately. Epstein should rot in hell, so should the men who patronized his operation. And as we say here today, there are over 1,000 sex trafficking victims, and you have not held a single man accountable. Shame on you. If you had any decency, you would resign right after this hearing concludes.
The gentleman has expired.
Rhythm is a dancer, it's our soul's companion. You can feel it everywhere. So 90s, so ridiculous. Lift your hands and voices, free your mind and join us. Like, how ridiculous. Why did they play the song in Congress?
I just... I don't know what's going on, but in any case, that got. Who do you think you are to accuse me? Yeah, well,
Exactly.
Who do you think you are to have
Why
this
not just
position?
say no, though? Why not just say no? There weren't any underage girls there. Yeah, Lou is a shit lib. We're not siding with the shit libs, guys. We're just
siding with these people. Please,
Yeah, we don't.
can get some enjoyment out of this, civil war that's taking place in the Congress.
Yeah, we're not friends with either of them, but we have to use them. I mean, I read the New York Times. Doesn't mean I support the writers. So, but yeah. I don't understand why she just didn't say, no, there weren't any underage girls there. I didn't even look like there were underage girls there in the video. It looked like they were older. I know somebody who actually knows one of the girls in the video, and she was an adult. And so I don't understand why not just say, no, not to my knowledge, because it doesn't appear so. And it's weird to be so combative is what I'm trying to get at. And I think that she's being combative on purpose. I think people are saying, oh, she's got so much to hide. I don't know that's it. She does have a lot to hide, but I feel like there's a little bit of theater here, and we're gonna watch a little bit more. So here she is, and here's the stock stuff that I was referring to earlier. This is really bizarre, and this is why this gave me pause to say, okay, this isn't real.
He is the most transparent president in the nation's history. And none of them asked Merrick Garland over the last 4 years one word about Jeffrey Epstein. How ironic is that? You know why? Because Donald Trump, the Dow right now is over $50,000. I don't know why you're laughing. You're a great stock trader, as I hear, Raskin. The Dow is over 50,000 right now. The S&P at almost 7,000. And the NASDAQ smashing records. Americans' 401ks and retirement savings are booming. That's what we should be talking about. We should be talking about making Americans safe. We should be talking about, what does the Dow have to do with anything? That's what they just asked. Are you kidding?
Mr. Jordan, Mr. Jordan. Committee will be in order.
What does the Dow have to do with anything?
But that's the thing. We either have to accept that she's this crazy and stupid, or that she's doing it on purpose, because she knows damn well that the Dow doesn't mean jack shit in this hearing.
I'm going to give her the benefit of the doubt and know that she knows that it means nothing.
Yes. Yes. So we have to ask ourselves why. And is it pure deflection? I don't think so. I think there's something else there. Here's our last one with Pam, and this is Matt with Massey, because we know how much we adore Massey here. But here is this last one with Pam.
I have several questions for you. Who's responsible? Are you able to track who in your organization made this massive failure and released the victims' names? Are you able to track who it was that obscured Les Wexner's name as a co-conspirator in an FBI document? Do you have that kind of accountability?
I believe Wexner's name was listed more than 4,000 times.
Yeah, I already told you that. This is where he's listed as a co-conspirator.
Can I finish my answer? Come on, let me finish my answer. We corrected that within 40 minutes. He was already, you're acting like everybody's trying to cover up Wexner's name.
Reclaiming my time.
I'm going to answer this question.
Reclaiming my time.
Mr.
Chairman.
This isn't how this works.
Can I have my time back? Mr. Chairman.
The gentlelady can give her answer. The time belongs to the gentleman from Kentucky.
All right, I'm reclaiming my time.
Can I give my answer?
So I'm going to put the language of the bill up on the screen.
Chairman, may I give my answer on that? It's a political joke, and I need to give my answer on that.
We'll let the Attorney General respond, and then the gentleman can move to his next question.
It's my time.
Within 40 minutes, you asked me a question. Within 40 minutes, Wexner's name was added back.
Within 40 minutes of me catching you red-handed.
There was one redaction out of
he's
over
listed as a
4,700,
co-conspirator.
and we invited you
Show the video.
in. This guy has Trump derangement syndrome. He needs to get, you're a failed politician.
Gentlemen.
You need
Right? Right? Like, there's something else to this. They want some sort of reaction, or I'm not sure. That's why I kind of wanted your opinion. There's something else there. She goes, there's a lot of things that she does. She calls Becca Balint an anti-Semite. Becca Balint is Jewish.
Becca Balint is from Vermont. Like, I know her. Like,
she said, oh, you should go watch the video. We should have uploaded, but she's like, don't you even go there. She just,
oh, we gotta put that. We gotta watch that video. Can we get it? Is it somewhere we can find it?
It was so great.
Do some magic and put this up. But,
These are 2 minutes, yeah. But yeah, so I feel like not that she has to know that Becca Balint's Jewish, but it just seems so over the top to be.
But you know what? Maybe it's part of the show, because everybody's talking about this, and it sort of derails us from talking about the actual things in the files once again. Like, oh, everybody watch Pam Bondi about this, that, and then it's like, yeah, but what about, like, do we have any accountability for those people who released the names of the survivors and covered up the names of co-conspirators of Jeffrey Epstein, including Les Wexner?
Mm-hmm.
Like, do we have accountability? We never got an answer about that, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
You see.
No, and is she also buying some time? Does buying time help them in this situation? Probably. So she's also doing that, because now it becomes like, okay, now we got to deal with all of her bullshit answers. There's also like, could we impeach her? This becomes a whole big rigmarole where she could have just acted normally.
Right.
And I feel like that's also part of it, this big distraction, and kind of buying time. BB's in town. We're going to talk about that more later, but BB's in town. We got the Iran stuff. I think in our one episode we were talking about Venezuela and Epstein. We were like, what's the distraction from what? We couldn't figure it out. And I think that we're kind of still in that situation. Okay, here's Balint. Oh yeah, here's your girl. I do like her. Here's your girl, and then we'll talk about Lavrov's reaction. So here's Rebecca Balint.
Didn't ask Merrick Garland anything about Epstein, not once. When he was weak sauce. Also, I want the record to reflect that, with this anti-Semitic culture right now, she voted against a resolution condemning.
Oh, is Jewish. I just want to be clear. Do you want to go there, Attorney General? Or do you want to go there? Are you serious? Talking about anti-Semitism to a woman who lost her grandfather in the Holocaust? Really?
The committee will be in order. Talk to Jared Wise about anti-Semitism. The ranking member knows that.
Can I get like 30 seconds back?
Yeah,
I've been. Balint took 30
the whole.
A mean girl.
She's horrible. What a witch.
What a witch. Flips her hair and everything.
And smiles. Mm-hmm. They don't care about they don't care about any of this stuff. It's all political theater. If it helps advance their cause, they'll do it.
Do you think that the people questioning, do you think that most of them are authentic?
No.
Even the other side, the Massies and the Hanas and everybody?
No, Massey, yes. I think that there are a few people. You said most. I don't think most. I think that there are
just a few
authentic. But most of them are in on it on their own way. They're all the level of corruption, the level of rot that goes into the system is deep. It's deep. You know why? This is how I would explain it. First and foremost, in the U.S. educational system, as people are rising through the elite strata, you go through certain, I would say, hazing, rites of passage in those universities. You go through the Skull and Bones, you go through this lodge, this fraternity, that sorority, right? So you're weeded out there. You move up, right? Maybe somebody joins Freemasons, Rotary, Lions, whatever, right? Knights of Columbus. You go through another one. And then there was a great article, I think it was in the New Yorker, or I'm trying to remember the periodical. It was some years ago. People should bring it back and talk about it. That there is an entire fraternity for finance bros on Wall Street that's been around for decades. And they cross-dress and they force people to drink and do all sorts of shenanigans. This is exactly the same stuff they do in college. And I was in a fraternity. I left my fraternity senior year, but I was in a fraternity and I called out a lot of the bullshit that went on. But I'm trying to say that this development, this is part of the process. Most of these people emerged from that. They were at Harvard, they were at Yale, they were at Princeton, they were at Cornell, they were at Columbia, they were at, who knows, William and Mary, they were at Chicago, UCLA, wherever. They were at some of these elite and prestigious schools, and therefore they already are part of this entire web of relations in here. Yes. So I don't think anybody is necessarily not, without any sort of tainting, but I do think that there are some people who might have gone through this and still hold true to their values, right? Going through the motions, whatever it might be. By the way, the military suffers from this too. Ring tapping, it is like a whole process. If you went to a service academy, you're at the head of the line. If you're a Freemason, you go to this line. There's like a whole variety of things around promotion, especially in the officer corps. So I just want to say that if you are in politics, if you are an elite in the sense of the political class, you can just see it with the sort of degeneration of AOC. She went from a darling of the left to running cover for supporting increased weapons sales to Israel. She could have chained herself I even said at the time, years ago, she could have chained herself to the door of Congress and been arrested every single time that vote came up or anything along that and stayed true to her principles. There were other people in American history who did that, but she didn't, because power, especially in the US, and especially as people gain it, and with the lobbying that we have and with the cliques that we have, has a tendency to corrupt and taint a person's reputation and value system very quickly, which is why Marjorie Taylor Greene is no longer in the Congress, and Thomas Massie has an enormous challenge by the mainstream Republican Party. And here I put that mainstream now because he's now considered fringe. But I want people to understand that. I want people to understand that, of course, the elite culture propagates itself through a series of rituals and rites of passage that ensure a code of silence and a code of obedience, because everybody knows what happened, right? Mm-hmm. So that's very true. And if we could go down this rabbit hole another episode, but there is a lot that goes on in the development of young people as they go through our university systems that end up working for Wall Street or big tech companies or big military or intelligence, that somebody's got a file on them.
You should do a space on it. People would be interested in that. That's a space topic. Before we move on to Lavrov, the producer just uploaded this one clip of Massie. So I'll play that because I believe this is reaction post Bondi hearing. So this is while we were streaming.
I provided the evidence today that shows that his statements were false under oath. Kash Patel's statements were false. They are in possession. They were in possession at the time, and they're still in possession of evidence that other men participated in the sex trafficking.
Attorney General Bondi didn't seem to directly answer that question. I mean, what do you make of what she did say?
She didn't answer anything. She came here just ready to talk about the Dow Jones and the NASDAQ, which seems kind of crazy to me.
So that's the reaction to that. What he's referring to is that they discovered, he is talking himself hoarse. He doesn't really have much of a voice today, but what they've discovered is that a lot of the redactions were done before they even got to the DOJ. So the FBI was doing the redactions. We have no idea why.
Interesting.
So that's what he's referring to, and that is Kash Patel being caught in that lie. So we already asked Chris what the Russians were thinking about Epstein and the layman. And this is Lavrov's reaction to, or at least a little bit to the Epstein files.
Каким влиянием обладала вот эта группка на острове Эпштейна, то, наверное, любая разведка сочла бы за честь завербовать Эпштейна.
Получить материалы какие-то.
Но нас это абсолютно не интересовало никогда, и мы там пытаются искать какие-то русские следы во всей этой куче
и находят даже
миллионов страниц.
There's they're still trying to do this whole, it's a KGB op. So I commented on a post the other day on the big account. I wish I would have uploaded it. It was a picture of the temple on Epstein Island, and it said, "This is a mosque." What we now know now. This is a mosque. Jeffrey Epstein was running cover for the Russians. He worked directly for Putin, and it goes on and on and on, all these crazy things. I thought it was a joke. No, this is the Hasbara that's coming out. So this is why Lavrov feels they're really trying to find this connection between Epstein and the Russians. So
the house was wow.
Yeah. Wait, if I could find it.
House. It's like we don't even know what it is. Like people are like, it's like for rituals. It's a type of like, kind of like sauna.
Why does it have the same colors as the Israeli flag? The same exact blue.
It's meant to give an Eastern Mediterranean vibe, if you know what I mean.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Eastern Mediterranean vibe.
Okay. Well, I've been to Santorini and it's all white. There's nothing striped like that.
No, nothing striped, but they do have the blue dome.
Yeah, they have the blue dome. But there's a gold dome on that thing, which I thought was interesting. It's
There's
gold
a gold
dome
with white and blue with the blue stripes. Interesting. Interesting.
I don't really understand all of these secret societies and what they worship, but yeah. So anyway, now we'll move past the Epstein files, thankfully. What's this? Oh, there it is.
Oh, there it is. Oh.
Now that we have Epstein emails, it turns out this is a mosque. There was an intelligence agency involved in this human trafficking, but it was the KGB. Epstein hated Israel, and the Israeli me were the only ones trying to raise awareness about his crimes.
Oh, wow.
This is a serious post. I thought it was a joke. I was like, this is fantastic. And then I went to his profile. I was like, he's a journalist in Canada.
Does he have any evidence to back this up, or is this an opinion, an editorial piece?
His Israeli vibes. Israeli vibes. It's just a feeling. But I think this is important, and this is why I wanted to play that, because we're talking about this weird, they're trying to contrive this interesting connection between Jeffrey Epstein and Russia to push Jeffrey Epstein away from them as the Israelis. This is something that happens often. And I also want to show that this is an interesting way that the Russians I think, are deciding to stick it to a few people. So let's see what Lavrov has to say.
Мы продолжаем защищать историческую правду, бороться с попытками пересмотра международно признанных итогов Второй мировой войны. На этот год приходится 80-летие завершения работы Нюрнбергского трибунала. На нем история вынесла вердикт военным преступникам Третьего Рейха и их приспешникам. Будем добиваться, чтобы преступления нацистов и их пособников против граждан Советского Союза, а они не имеют срока давности, были признаны международным сообществом именно в качестве геноцида советского народа. Особое значение в этой связи имеет соответствующий федеральный закон, который устанавливает 19 апреля в качестве Дня памяти жертв этого геноцида. Хотел бы еще раз искренне поблагодарить вас, коллеги, за внимание, которое Государственная Дума уделяет этой теме.
This does a few things. Okay? We've always argued that the suffering of the Jews during the Holocaust doesn't trump anybody else's suffering, whatever the sizes of the people are, and that the people that get forgotten the most are the Slavs. So I think that this is really important. It sticks it to the Russians and says, F you, we're not going to play this crap anymore with this. Or it sticks it to the Germans. It says, like, we're not going to play this nonsense anymore. It also sticks it to the Poles, who also love historical revision, but it really sticks it to the Israelis and says, you don't get monopolized genocide from World War II. End of. No more. What are your thoughts?
I think it's huge. I think this is a very big deal because that number will become the dominant number, of course, along with the Chinese that recognize their experience as well, Nanjing. And, we've got like 3 or 4 million more Chinese that were killed during the Second World War. So this is a big, big deal, I think, overall. It also begins to move the narrative around the history of the war, which was certainly the final solution, but the final solution was not only about the Jewish people. There's been a myopic sort of narrowing of the final solution. The final solution was for all undesirable peoples, which were Jews, Roma people, Gypsies, Slavic peoples, right? Peoples in the lower Balkans that came from other minor ethnic groups. And of course, it was for homosexuals, communists, socialists, trade unionists, you name it. Everybody, either political or genetic or religious, they got to go. So that obviously, since Slavic peoples were the main brunt that bore this final solution against them, and literally was a campaign of pure annihilation. I think that needs to be historically recognized, and I think that would put firmly in history that it was the Soviet Union's efforts that helped to turn the tide and stem that final solution from becoming really the end of the Slavic peoples, at least of a free Slavic people. There would have been an enslaved Slavic people, of course. They needed a workforce. They needed a new peasant class. But that, of course, is very important historically. I think Lavrov is really trying to, capture here the zeitgeist, which is all over Russia. And of course, he was speaking in the Gosduma, that they're sick and tired of how other parts of the world are portraying the Second World War. They really are.
They should
really
be.
Are. They are sick of it, and it's got to end.
What's funny is that I was talking to our producer yesterday, maybe the day before, and he was like, we teach, or he said something about teaching he was talking about, we don't really have a lot of Jewish people or Israeli influence in our country, because we were talking about it compared to America. I was like, oh, he was talking about it, and he was like, we really don't, and I think it's because we had so few Jews during World War II, so we didn't suffer a lot of the brunt of everything, right? We were kind of, and they're really Austrian. They say they're Slavs, but they're Austrian, so they're probably taken care of by the Germans anyway. But he's like, we learned about the Holocaust in school, and I was like, well, why? If there's very few Jews, and he was like, why are you so anti-Semitic? And I was like, no, I'm thinking about how we learn about the Holocaust, and why would you learn it like that, right? Because I'm thinking like all we learned about World War II is Germans were killing Jews, Anglos got to step in. That's it. That's really it. So I was like, and we learn that every single year. And now that citizens and information are becoming so much more global, you have this Anglosphere who's like, we saved the world, and the Russians are like, why did we lose 30 million people for this?
Yeah, exactly. Of course. And by the way, there's some very interesting things. When I visited Auschwitz-Birkenau, as I was awarded a fellowship to study the Holocaust, and we went to Auschwitz-Birkenau and to Auschwitz Camp 1. And, one of the things that was very apparent, minus the, weekly Israeli military, delegations that come there and wave the Israeli flag, I got to go with some survivors, which was very interesting and a real powerful experience. But one of the interesting parts was the criticism around the placement of a cross at Auschwitz. And so there's been a big debate around Christian symbols at Auschwitz, even though Christians were also killed, including saints in the Catholic Church and, confessors and martyrs in other, even in the Orthodox Church, in other local churches. They took offense. Some of the colleagues took offense that the Poles put up a cross when this was a place that was more about the suffering of the Jewish people. But of course, the Poles then retorted, but it's not only the Jewish people. Like Saint Maximilian Kolbe, right, who was a very famous Catholic saint now, was a concentration camp victim, right? An extermination camp victim, right? So I just find it very interesting that there's a very strong fight over the narrative of what transpired, the legacy, and how we look at history afterwards. And since my grandparents were fighters and very involved in that war, I have a very unique perspective from a partisan family. I know that many of our friends and comrades and colleagues also have that kind of experience, especially from the Balkans and Eastern Europe. But if you don't come from that tradition and you didn't grow up with a different narrative around the war, then you can easily become very myopic about the war. And it's just Holocaust, D-Day, and, Battle of the Bulge, and we're in Berlin. And it's like, no, that's not how it happened. So we have to be very careful about that.
Exactly. And I think this is a good, and another thing this sets up is JD Vance's huge debacle this week. What the is going on with these people. They want to LARP Christian nationalists. They're married to India, whatever. All that doesn't even matter. But they try to LARP so bad Christian nationalists that they're like, I'm going to go honor the Armenian genocide. But they're so geopolitically retarded that they don't even realize what's going on. So what we had this week, and this, I want to get Chris on this to give you guys some thoughts behind the Armenian stuff. So we have, here's the post of him and Usha. They're in the Armenian Genocide Memorial inside of, or in Armenia. Great. After his trip to Armenia, he departed Armenia to head over to Azerbaijan. Either on the way to Azerbaijan or almost immediately upon landing, that post was deleted. And Caroline Levitt denied the Armenian genocide.
She denied it?
Mm-hmm.
What did she say?
Basically said, we do not recognize that. President Trump does not recognize it. Biden did.
Interesting. Of course, for those who don't know, as the Ottoman Empire was beginning its final decades in existence, and as slowly the walls were closing in, young Turks, basically a new band of reformists and revolutionaries, began a process of, I would say, new state building. Also, there was a process of Turkification, which then became very apparent after Mustafa Kemal Ataturk took power. But in the interim, there were mass atrocities against Armenians, Greeks, Assyrians, and also other minorities, Alavis, Circassians, Laz people, other minorities within Turkey. So, or at that time, the Ottoman Empire wasn't yet Turkey. But the main thing is this. The Ottoman Empire's slow collapse led to a process of mass extermination of those who were not considered part of the developing Turkish nation. It hadn't yet come into form. But the Armenians suffered the brunt of it. The Greeks suffered a catastrophic loss because the Greeks have been there the longest. As you know, Asia Minor. I mean, the Greeks of Pontus, of the Black Sea, had been there since classical Greece. I mean, we're talking about 3,000 years of history, extinguished in the 20th century. For me, that's very painful as a Greek, especially because in Russia, the largest population of Greeks are from Pontus. They're Pontic Greeks, including the billionaire Ivan Savidis, who was a member of President Putin's party and a member of the Duma. So I think that when you understand this history, of course, the new Republic of Turkey that came into existence did not recognize these as genocides, nor as actually killings at all. They recognized it as a national liberation struggle. Sounds familiar because, of course, this is part of nationalist development at this time period. But the Armenian genocide has become a sort of pivotal moment because it's really the first major genocide of its kind, although not the first major genocide in history, because you could argue, for example, late 19th century genocides like what happened with King Leopold in the Congo, which actually had more killed. But, of course, as my professor used to say, they were black, so who cares? That's how history perceives it. 10 million Congolese dead. And what did we lose, right? But that actually was a horrific process of state building as well for the Congo, Belgian Congo. We also had the mass killings in India, especially during that late 19th century period of the Raj, where there were really intense massacres and also forced famines, like artificial famines. In any case, I think that it's very telling that on one side, the Trump administration wants to play nice with Armenia and have a good relationship with Pashinyan. On the other side, the relationship with Azerbaijan vis-a-vis the triangle Azerbaijan, Turkey, Israel is very strategic and powerful. Because Azerbaijan also had that little scuffle with Russia and also has its irredentist claims against Iran, the Iranian part of Azerbaijan. Most Azeri people live in Iran, not in Azerbaijan as a separate republic. So the Republic of Azerbaijan seeks to take territory in Iran as part of its own expansionist claims. So why not support Aliyev? Of course. oh, this could benefit us down the road, right? So why piss off the Azeris, even though the Azeris had nothing to do with the Armenian genocide
right.
in that sense? I mean, yes, Nagorno-Karabakh now claim as an ethnic cleansing. You could claim that there has been genocidal intent in the recent history, but Azeris were part of the Safavid, or at that time the Russian Empire. They were split in the two. Very few in the Ottomans. They really had nothing to do. In fact, the foot soldiers of the Ottoman army, of the Young Turks, and then of the Mustafa Kemal Ataturk's forces were Kurds. So that's actually been part of the relationship between Kurds and Armenians. And the leader of the PKK, Abdullah Öcalan, apologized in the 1980s. And what did he do? Supplied arms and troops to the Armenian Secret Army for the Liberation of Armenia.
You even had Armenians in your brigade in Syria, yeah? Wasn't your commander Armenian? Yeah.
My commander was Armenian, who, of course, was part of this whole process and was a very famous general during the War of Liberation in Nagorno-Karabakh, or Artsakh. So I think that this is very telling about U.S. now. U.S. likes to play all sides and actually doesn't really believe in anything except its own power. Armenian genocide, when we go there, we put flowers. When we leave, we get rid of it. And then we go to Azerbaijan and we say how wonderful it was that you liberated your territory in Nagorno-Karabakh. You go back to Armenia, you lay flowers again, you put up another picture, and it goes back and forth like this. But
so gross.
But there is a few things that will never change. And that is the sort of Yad Vashem Holocaust remembrance, Normandy, fucking all this stuff won't change. That has become solidified in American history textbooks. This stuff is subject to debate.
Yeah, so I wanted to bring them both up because I think that these are things that we should continue to draw attention to. We don't do Armenia enough. We need to talk about Armenia more on our large account. We're obviously always making references to the Great Patriotic War. And I think that recognizing these things may change the dynamic of some stuff. There's this weird, just read, I won't get into it, but read The Holocaust Industry by Norman Finkelstein. Just read that. So, but other than that, we'll keep going because I'm running low on time. But we want to talk about the 47th anniversary of the Islamic Republic. Take a look at these beautiful rallies from around the country. Were you getting a little emotional? I was. It was getting a little emotional. They burned ball.
Come on.
They sung your song while they did it.
For me, it's very meaningful because 47 years ago, my father was an active participant in the revolution. My family. Yeah, of course. Family. He doesn't necessarily agree with it today. That's a part of our, contention in the family. But in any case, he was a part of history. He was a part of history as a young man, picked up arms to liberate Iran from the oppressive regime of the Shah.
Did they do the ball thing every year, or was that?
That seemed newer. I had not seen
because I thought that was very poignant.
Very poignant, and also there was an image that went along with it that had Epstein and things, and Trump and Mohammed bin Salman, Netanyahu. I thought it was very interesting. Also had the Israeli flag, the American flag, the LGBTQ flag. Very fascinating, kind of the imagery that they put next to ball. But one of the interesting things, and by the way, shout out to our brother Shaheen, who was with us in Lebanon very, very close comrade of ours who made that video. One of the amazing things that I spoke about tonight with Professor Marandi was the stunning show of support and solidarity to the Islamic Republic of Iran. And even simultaneously, people have criticisms about the economy. They're not happy. Situation is not good, but they are very patriotic to their country and to their revolution because Iran stands proud. Nobody bullies Iran today and gets away with it. And that's something to be proud of. That's something that every Iranian can be proud of. I'm proud of. But the imagery that we're seeing, you saw people stepping on the American flag, the Zionist flag, burning ball. All this stuff is to show that, Epsteinism, Zionism, not tolerated in Iran. Not tolerated. As Professor Marandi said, listen, there's corruption. There's, of course, in every system.
Country.
But Epsteinism, not allowed. Red line.
That's good. I like Epsteinism. What did Haas said? Epstein regime. We said Epstein Accords, Epsteinism. All these are good. They've been calling them the Epstein elite in a lot of outlets, which is fantastic. I like this. I like this.
Political class.
Epstein political class, Epstein elites. Yeah, that's perfect. Perfect. So big shout out to Iran. What's going on with that today? It's kind of a kerfuffle. We have Trump meeting with Bibi, who says he had a great meeting, tremendous relationship, blah, blah, blah. They allude to Midnight Hammer. They say that, well, they want to see whether a deal or not can be consummated. Then we find out from the Wall Street Journal exclusive that the USS Bush is now on standby. It could get word within the next couple hours to go full steam ahead to the Middle East, putting a second carrier in the AOR. With the response from the Iranians at the rallies, and now this is kind of, I worry because I think there's enough sensibility from the American side to say this is a terrible idea, but you're not going to get any of that from the Israelis. This is something that they have to do, right? This is existential. This is something that must be done.
Or else Netanyahu's going to prison. Who knows?
Well, that too, and Trump maybe, but the Dow is up.
By the way, we're in an election year. We could see an impeachment process coming very quick after the election, after the new
midterms,
Congress is sworn in. I really think that we're going to see a massive push for impeachment.
Yeah, we also need to push for impeaching Bonnie, but we'll talk about that maybe in the spaces. We'll get more into the activism side. But
the Epstein class.
Yeah, all of it. Everybody that we can. But since we're running low on time, which one of these clips is the best? We'll ask the producer about the Arachi interview. Which one's the best? Just put the best one up and then we'll react to that one. I didn't watch the interview. Come on.
Would Iran be willing to consider a reduction of its association with allies that are antagonistic to Israel based on Mr. Netanyahu's request? And will Iran be in any way willing to minimize or diminish its ballistic missile capability?
Those are things not related to our nuclear program at all.
Off the record.
And we only negotiate about our nuclear program with the U.S.
Off the table. Those things are off the table.
Absolutely.
How confident are you about this conversation with Mr. Witkoff and Mr. Kushner that we can come to some kind of resolution and avoid a really ugly, dangerous situation in this part of the world and affecting the entire planet?
I'm confident on our own side. We are prepared for a diplomatic solution as much as we are prepared to defend ourselves against any new aggression. We were negotiating last time in June last year when they attacked us. Israelis first, followed by Americans. And we were negotiating when they did that. Now, we are more prepared militarily to defend ourselves than before the 12-day war. Quantity-wise, and we are more prepared for diplomacy as well. We have learned many lessons from what happened during the past 12 months, from the 12-day war. We have learned our lessons on war and diplomacy. And now we are prepared for both.
Wow. First and foremost, shout out to Rick Sanchez. Been on his show a couple times. He's great. He's fantastic. I'm happy he's in Iran. That's the truth, everybody. The diplomacy is only around the nuclear question. They already had a deal. The U.S. ripped it up. Then they were negotiating again, and then the U.S. attacked. So this is the third attempt at doing a deal, at trying to reach some diplomatic conclusion. And twice previously, the United States was the belligerent one that ripped up the deal and then went after Iran. That's the reality.
Then we'll play this other one. This is about under what conditions they will strike.
But what if they attack, and what if they use aggressive means? What would your retaliatory strategy then be?
We defend ourselves.
How?
You know how.
You would attack the U.S. bases in the Gulf countries?
We would attack U.S. and U.S. assets and facilities, everything they have in our, neighborhood.
You seem almost uncomfortable saying that. Are you?
I am? No, I'm not uncomfortable. The only point is I don't want to, express something.
Yes.
Which I don't like it to happen.
Of course.
I'm a man of diplomacy. I'm a man of dialogue. I'm a man of negotiation, and everybody knows me. I have done it in the past, and I can do it again. I'm not the man of war. Of course, I have a war veteran myself.
Yes.
My country, our armed forces are fully prepared for any eventuality, but my preference is diplomacy.
So the usual. I don't really have any updates other than that, than them kind of, will respond. And it's very clear the population supports the government. Not over here, though. Trump's ratings are in the toilet. Do you know that Trump's approval rating is higher in Israel than it is in the United States?
I know why it is.
It's more than double.
I know why it is. And you do too. And all of our viewers and listeners too. I just want to say, Arakshi made a very interesting, very small little point that I really focused on today in my interview with Professor Marandi, which a lot of people don't speak about. He sometimes tweets about it, but not in this kind of detail.
Yeah.
Professor Marandi and Foreign Minister Arakshi are both veterans of the Iran-Iraq war.
Oh, geez.
And for Professor Marandi, and he told me today, that was the most transformational time of his life, because he saw the use of chemical weapons. He was injured in 2 chemical attacks, a nerve agent attack and a mustard gas attack. And he was brought into Halabja after over 6,000 people were wiped out by Saddam Hussein's chemical attacks. So he said that Halabja was the pivotal transformational moment in his life, that he realized there was no outcry. The West supplied the weapons, the West supplied the diplomatic cover, and the West supplied the intelligence to massacre all of those people. And so for him, that was the moment where he said the mask off. Truly, the US and the West are the great Satan. So that was very meaningful. I hope people get a chance to check it out. I'll hopefully post it very soon, this interview. But I hope people understand that a lot of the political class in Iran now are veterans themselves of a brutal war. I mean, we're talking about 8 years, over 1 million dead. So Iran is prepared. But Iran ultimately wants diplomacy, but Iran is prepared to fight this time, and they will not, it'll be gloves off this time.
I think we're going to wrap here because I have to get going over to RT. But we do have a bunch of super chats also from last week. So we'll get through those really quickly. We may not be able to answer them because we're fried and don't know what the questions were in reference to, but I just want to thank the people who sent them. Thank you, Mickey, as always, for watching, and Will as well. Thank you for watching. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for your super chats and all of your support. Just appreciate for being a space for not on Sunday. We were not a space for sanity on Sunday. We were not a space for sanity on Sunday. Somebody asked me if I was having a mental breakdown. I said, I don't know. I in order to know, and I'm going to let you guys all men in on a secret. for women to know if they're having a mental breakdown or not, schedule a hair appointment. And if you chop it all up, that you're having a mental breakdown. If you don't, then you're okay. So we're going to the hair salon tomorrow. We'll see what's what afterwards. So we'll find out. But we try to be a place for sanity. Oftentimes, even the craziness of the news cycle gets to us as well. So I apologize for my behavior. For me, it's Brazil. My impression is that the U.S. population is a bit apathetic. Okay, these are from today. News from Brazil, though. They did arrest a pilot. They arrested him right off the plane. A pilot from the Epstein files that was helping to traffic girls. It's better than what we could ask for here. We haven't seen a single arrest, not one. Not a single indictment, not an arrest. Not even an interview, not even a interrogation or anything.
Nothing.
And Mickey agrees with me. The Bonnie testimony seems inflammatory, certainly unnecessary. I agree. Unnecessarily combative, really provocative, and it has to be on purpose to get a reaction. We just have to figure out what reaction she's trying to elicit and from whom, and or if they're trying to distract us from something. Haas is so funny. He's a great show as ever. He wrote this whole post about how it was so meaningful that the people of Shiraz went out because they're otherwise so lazy. Because this means so much because they don't go outside for anything.
They got up and they got out. You mean it was something very important?
Yes, yes. That's what he says. So they're all poets and singers. So they're sitting at home writing. And thank you, Piano Man. I won't sing you your song today because you guys already got a song. Somebody asked me about the Super Bowl, but I think that we're going to one up the Super Bowl. I loved the Super Bowl. You know what? And I'm going to say this to all of these white supremacist imperialists. If you don't like what you saw at the Super Bowl, you don't get to colonize Venezuela, Cuba, and Puerto Rico.
You don't get to have the Monroe doctrine and then not like all of the countries of the Americas. Like, hello.
Yeah. So we had that. I thought it was fun. I'm not a Bad Bunny fan, but I thought it was fun. I like reggaeton, but I don't know Bad Bunny, but it looked fun, I guess. But
I think we have the better one.
We do. This is a working class anthem from Argentina, Cumbia. If anybody, all of our South American people will definitely remember this performance. But other than that, we will see you guys on Sunday. Trying to get lined up with these sports journalists from Venezuela and Iran, which will be perfect. They can both talk about their respective countries, and they are heading a boycott of FIFA in the United States, which I think we need to definitely champion. But other than that, we're going to leave you with this really amazing high note. Chris is going to dance. You won't be able to see it, but we'll be dancing. And you guys enjoy the rest of your week. Hopefully we don't go to war. Only with the Epstein elites. War on the Epstein elites, not war with each other. Take care.
Se menea, se excita cuando se le va parando solita. Ella sigue porque sabe que rica. Es que ella tiene un bombón asesino. Se sabe un bombón bien latino. Es que es un bombón suculento. Con ese bombón casamiento. Sabe del bombón y lo mueve. Menea el bombón cuando quiere. Parece un bombón insaciable. Seguro un bombón. De color. No hace falta que les diga que soy raza, por mi piel escapa el alma sabanera. Sangre y luto es el color de mi bandera, y a los negros yo los llevo aquí en el alma. Es el negro un sentimiento que se lleva de verdad y que late al compás del corazón. Si ganaras el infierno por ser negro y nada más, moriré llevando negro el corazón. Zabalé, Zabalé, la culpa es de este pueblo sabalero. Zabalé, Zabalé, que todo el mundo